Okay. So I just say it again for the recording. So basically, this is the problem we are trying to solve 128 on lead code longest consecutive integers. So it says you are given a unsorted array of integers and return the longest length of the longest consecutive element. So in the first input, 100, 4, 200, 132, the answer is 4 because 1, 2, 3, 4 is a sequence. And similarly for the next one, you have 0, 3, 7, 2. From 0 to 8, you have a length of 9. So that's what the question is. And you have to return the longest length of the longest consecutive element sequence. So fine. So here we are. So who wants to try this brute force?
I want to try.
Quick to jump on it. Okay. Because, okay. Try.
So brute force is like I will basically sort all these numbers.
Okay. And also the question says, okay, fine. Okay. You sort.
And then and then I run a loop to go over these sorted numbers. So that so inside that I will have another loop that will go on and increment the longest, like say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 200 is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 200, 100, 200 it will become. So I'll run a loop like for this, and inside that I will like get a count of all this sequential numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I will store that as my result. And then when I get to 100, I will reset that counter to 1. And when I see 200, okay, that counter is 1, so I will compare it with the previous max I have, which is 4. So I will not update my result. Similarly for 200, the max.
So wait, so you said first you'll sort and then you'll do a loop. So what is the time complexity that you said? First is sort, which is n log n.
Yeah.
And then n
Order
square.
of n. No, order of n only. That loop will basically like go through all the numbers in order only once, but it will have an inner loop as well, which will
Okay.
update, which will
Okay.
update the outer loops number as well, so that it will take care of breaking and like calculating my result. It is n log n plus order of n, so overall is n log n.
So basically you have 2 pointers and you have 1 pointer at 1. The other pointer is going to as much as front as possible.
Right.
To find which is the highest number you can go, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get 100, you reset I and you place it over here. And your previous answer was 4.
Yeah, right.
Right. And you start from 100. You start J as well from here. And since your J is not increasing, you reset it. And then you start I from here.
Exactly.
Right, Devin? Is that understood?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Yeah. So first I thought she was telling n log n and then O of n square.
No.
Okay. So that's your brute force. What is the second? Brute force. This is brute force 1. What is the brute force 2? This is a hard problem. So we'll have to go using brute force 1, 2, 3, 4 till we reach the end. Maybe the brute force n-1 will be a DFS one. But let's see how else you can solve this. So
The brute force 2 and better than the first approach will be avoiding the sorting to bring down the time complexity.
Okay. So what you'll do in that?
So if we can turn somehow like create sets, like as many sets as we want.
So if you,
Yeah, I'll let Devin go with the brute force.
I'm thinking something with trees. If you, okay, if as you're walking through the array, right?
I mean, did you do a sort or not?
No, you're not.
Okay.
The problem is merging the nodes. That's what I'm thinking.
Don't think about merging of the nodes till now, because in the interview, if you,
I was thinking of sorting, and then just creating a tree, right? But then that's just going to be n log n plus O of n.
but you'll be lost. I mean, if this is the way you'll start in the phone interview, imagine the pressure you're already in, right? I mean,
Right.
follow a template, start from the brute force, what are the other ways? So obviously, n log n, ONN, you cannot do, right? I mean, the interviewer will ask, can you do better than this one? Can you do it only in O of n, right? Because here the answer is, here it is n log n, right? It is bounded by n log n. Can you do it O of n? So come up with the approach, like speak your thought. What are you thinking? Don't directly jump into, okay, I'll build a tree, I'll build this, build that. Solve this, and then we'll see where we'll eventually use trees. That is, tree is nothing but a data structure, right? First solve it, do the problem solving first.
So all the numbers given are distinct numbers, right, Ankur? That there in the condition, like lead code?
Even if
they're consecutive, they have to be distinct.
Distinct, yeah.
I mean, if you are given 1, 2, 2, you won't consider this, this has one consecutive, right? Even if
1, 2, the longest consecutive is 2.
Yes, I mean, if you give 1, 2, 2, 3, you'll still consider 1, 2, and 3.
Got it. Yeah,
I mean, it has to be increasing order, not same or equal to or increasing. Strict increasing.
Okay, so I have another approach then now.
Okay.
So I will put all my elements in a set, all the elements that are there.
Okay.
And I will run through the set, like say our given numbers are 104, 200, 132. Say suppose we are reading them in the same order, okay?
I mean, set you don't have any order. You don't get it in an order. I mean, I don't know about Java, but in Python there's no order.
Yeah, I'm saying we are getting them in the unsorted order.
Yeah, okay.
All these in the set.
Okay.
So the first element I read from the set is 100, okay? Then I will search if 99 and 101, like the previous and the next elements exist. So basically I can go DFS route that way.
Okay, 1 second. I think Shiji joined, so I'll just give her some background as to which question we are doing. Hi, Shiji. Hi, Shiji.
Hi, Ankur.
Yeah, so basically this is the question we are trying to solve, longest consecutive sequence. Okay. And so basically this is a hard problem, and our focus was, so what this question says is you are given a list of integers like 100, 4, 200, 132. You're able to screen my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. The answer here is, what you want to return is the length of the longest consecutive elements. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 4. And here consecutive means, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 only. It's not saying that they have to be next to each other. It's not also saying that they have to be a subsequence, like in the same order. Right? Like, so same order will be 4, 1, 3, 2. So that will be subsequence. This is saying sequence, any normal sequence. So that is why 1, 2, 3, 4, that is length is 4. Similarly, for the example 2, you have length 9 because it starts from 0, 0, 1, there's 2, there's 3, and it goes up to 8. So the length is 9. Is that clear, the question?
Yeah, question is clear.
Okay. So, so the brute force solution that Sue came up with was, I mean, it was a very naive solution that you sort the elements, right? You sort the elements, so that is n log n, right? So n log n, and then once you get the sorted order, you start from the first element, which is 1, and you have 2 pointers. So basically I and j. You place I at 1, and you move j ahead till you're able to get plus 1 number.
Okay.
So you stop at 4.
Okay.
Right? And when you get 100, you're not seeing 5, right? So basically now you reset, and your original previous longest is 4. Now you reset to I to be 100 at 100, right? Now j is 100, I is at 100. Now you increase j. So that way it will become O of n.
No, I didn't get the second part.
So basically,
we sorted that, I understood.
Okay.
Then we have 2 pointers.
So basically now we are trying to find the longest increasing order, right? So basically we'll get, so basically I starts from 1. Now we are trying to find which is till where we can keep increasing the jth pointer. Like we need to see it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, till when we can get that. Right? Like plus 1. So I is at 1, j is at 1. We keep increasing j till we are seeing a number greater than the last number seen. So we get 2, we get 3, we get 4. And the correct, we are noting down the length seen so far.
Mhm.
Now our j is at 100. We see that 100 is not plus 1 or 4.
Okay.
So that means our last sequence is ended.
Okay. So we are having 2 pointers to find the first and the last sequence.
Yes.
Okay,
And as
got
soon
it.
as j is j is at 100, we know that our sequence is no longer maintained. We move our I to 100. And then we increase j to see is there 101?
Mhm.
And we keep doing that. And since there's no
Okay.
101, we know that now there's no new sequence. So length here is 1. And the last was 4. So maximum seen so far is 4.
Mhm.
Right? And then so I gets reset to 200. So here the minimum length would be, I think, 1.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, if all numbers are unique and there's no number which is increasing than a particular number, then the length is 1, I think. Right?
Yeah.
So now we are going to the brute force 2 solution, and that's what now Sue is actually coming up with. So she said she created a set, and yes.
I create a set. Okay, and in the main function, I will iterate through the set, take any number, and then have a helper DFS function, and I will pass the number which I am reading from the set in the main function as the input to the DFS.
DFS, but you don't even have a graph. Where is DFS here?
I think you're going to create a graph if you grab a number, right?
I pass the
your
set.
DFS is gonna to look for what's less than the number, what's greater than that number.
Can I write the code?
So in this case, we didn't sort yet, right? We are not sorted.
No, we didn't sort. So basically, so what are you trying to do using a set here? Basically, you are at 100.
So I have created a set, right? And I'll iterate through the set and read each number. So the first number I read is say 100 from the set. Now I will write a helper function like which does the DFS function, which will which will basically take the number and see like if the set contains like the previous number and the next number. If it contains like it will increment my result. And then it will call the same like if the previous number exists, it will call the again DFS function with the previous number, and it will remove 100 from my set. And similarly, it will call 2 DFS calls within this main DFS. For the previous number, if it exists, 1 DFS call. If the next number, if it exists, another DFS call. And it will do that, and it will remove the number that is being passed to the DFS.
Okay, so let's say we got 2 first. You're saying we do so basically you said we do a DFS of 2, and DFS of 2 will internally call DFS of 3 and DFS of 1.
Exactly.
Okay, and what is the DFS doing?
It will check the previous.
3 will call 2 and 4.
Okay.
1 will call 0 and 2.
So if none of the previous or the next number exists, the recursion will stop there. If any of them exist, it will go and increment my
Okay.
some
And
that I can have at class level.
okay, and you're saying that you're also passing in the length. Wait, who is that, Namita?
You're not going to pass in the length. You just need to pass in the set, right?
Yeah, pass the set.
Every time, right before you do a DFS, you're going to increment your counter by 1, right?
Is it like a visited set?
No, you can use
the original. You make a set out of the numbers and then iterate through the set, and for each number you call DFS, and inside the DFS, if there are any consecutive numbers, they get removed from that master set, so that from the outer main function that you're writing from the main method, right, it will still have the non-consecutive numbers lying for them to be picked up in the
Okay,
next.
and what's your answer at the end?
It's going to be 4.
No, that I understood. So basically you did DFS. You said she starts from DFS and she removes 2 also from the set. Then it calls DFS 3, DFS 1. and
Right.
3 is removed from the set, and 1 is removed from the set. And
Yeah,
when,
Right.
when DFS 3 was started, it is called DFS of 4,
Right.
right? And 4 is deleted. Okay.
Right.
So I
Now,
will basically have a like my DFS function will return the maximum length as well. Like I can write my DFS that way, which will return the length basically. So can I write the DFS function how it's going to look like?
no, so basically, I mean, when you're calling DFS, you're also passing in some counter or a
No, I'm
length
not
pointer.
passing it the counter. It will be calculated dynamically, right? Like it will be like my function will be public int like DFS, and the input parameters will be set and a given number. Okay.
Hmm.
And we will say, yeah,
And a set internally. Is that what you're saying?
set internal whatever. So we basically create a set out of the given numbers. That is our first step. That is the set we are passing to DFS function.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So our set has all the numbers now. And when we call this DFS helper the very first time, it has all 104, 200, 132 inside it.
Okay.
And then here I will say,
So wait. So is this a new one? Oh, so it's a copy. So you're saying it's a copy of the original one, or is it a new one?
no, it's like in Java, at least we pass a pointer to the same set. So if we edit this set,
It's the original.
Oh,
it's
so
not a
okay.
copy. It's not a copy. It's like a pointer to the original set.
So are you saying that DFS will start from 2, and in your set you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 200?
Right. And then the
Okay.
next loop is gonna call DFS of 1,
And then
3,
we'll write
4,
the
100,
base
200.
condition.
Okay. So next call will be DFS of 1, and you remove 2 from this.
Right.
Okay. 1, 3, 4, 100, 200. Okay.
No,
And-
write it this way, like return 1 plus. So you will write if if the given set does not contain the number passed, return 0. Okay, write that way.
No. 1 second. I'm
I'm
trying.
getting
Wait. I'm
confused
trying to
now.
understand it. Wait. No, I understood. So basically, when you're calling DFS, it calls. So when
What
you
you're
call,
looking for the set and
So-
then the counter.
Yeah, there is no counter here that we are passing in and then updating. So it's a recursion call. The stack will work that way. So if we write the base condition that if the set does not contain this number, return 0. Okay, then the recursion stops there, and then just return 1 plus DFS of number plus 1 comma set.
so basically, are you saying that so let's say int count equal to DFS
No,
of
no,
number?
yeah, don't initialize any variable. Just write 2 lines what I say, that will clear everything.
Yeah, say.
So if the set does, like DFS, the input is number comma set, right? The
Mhm.
method input parameter. If
Mhm.
set does not contain number, return 0. Base condition.
If okay, if num not in set,
Return 0.
okay.
Okay. Then the next line is return. And then there is before this return, you will also do set dot remove the number. Okay, and then now you will call return 1 plus 1 plus DFS of num minus 1 comma set plus DFS of n plus 1 comma set. So
N
this,
plus 1 set.
yeah, that's it. So and this will return like the maximum sequential numbers that will be there in the set, and it will also remove them at the same time from the set, and it will return a variable to the main calling method, right? That will have like 4. If you pass, like if you had passed like 4 or 3 or 1 or 2, it would have, if any of these numbers are passed, it will remove all 4 and this function will basically return 4 to the calling method.
Wait, how are they gonna do that?
Return,
I understand how the DFS work, but how is the DFS gonna know where to start?
So it is going to look for n-1 in the set. If it is not, it returns 0.
No,
Yeah.
no,
If
no.
it
So
is-
what's the start condition? That's the thing. Okay.
start condition, that's what you have to write it from you have to iterate through the set and call it for every
Yeah,
number.
but if we're iterating through the set and we're deleting numbers from the set, that
Mhm.
iteration is gonna blow up.
What is going to blow up?
So basically
If
what
we're
you're saying
iterating
is,
through the set and at the same time we're modifying the set, your for loop is gonna blow up.
No. I don't know how do I put it. I can write the code if it makes. If not for number in set.
Mhm.
Oh, you're saying like through the okay when we are iterating.
In my DFS, if I modify the original set, that the for loop is gonna blow up nicely.
Understood. Yeah. Makes sense, Deven. Yeah.
So basically you're saying, so basically I think Deven said you're iterating to the set. You go at 1 first, right? And then you're calling on DFS of 1 and the set, right? But you're also changing the set. I think Python doesn't allow you to do that. So inside the for loop, you cannot do that.
Agree with that. So we should have two data structure. One is set.
That's why you need a copy.
Original integer. Yeah. No. We don't need a copy, but we will iterate through this original numbers only. But then in the set, we will put whatever we have seen so far, so that we can.
Oh, you're gonna memoize what you visited, so you don't.
Yeah. Right. So in the set, like we can mark whichever we have seen so far.
Okay, now that makes sense. Did that make sense to you also?
Yes. So basically she's saying for num in set,
Right.
For num,
not so let's just set dot copy,
yeah, right.
right? And these elements, I mean set means
You're not gonna need to do a
unique.
copy at all. You can just use the original set. We're not gonna modify
we
the
can
set
use
anymore.
the original integer array. For number in original integer array, we can do.
Okay, and then you do a DFS of num and what set? I mean set dot copy.
No, just set. You don't need to copy it. We're not removing numbers from the set anymore.
Yeah, we will just add the num instead of earlier. See what we have done, set dot remove, right? For every number, we'll add them to the set, and then
Right.
we call this DFS when not visited of that number. Only then it will go into this DFS.
Yeah, you're gonna do DFS in count and equal DFS num set if num not visited.
Right, exactly.
So basically you have visited set.
Yeah, you have a visited.
And this set is always the same. It will always remain the same.
That set always remain
No,
the same.
that is
And
the-
you're going to check in the visited that you don't see the element again.
Right.
So basically, if you have already visited one, you're not going to see. You're not going to call.
DFS for one again.
Right.
Okay. And you're using 1 plus DFS to signify that.
To signify that
So, I mean, that it has increased the length. I mean, you remove
Yeah,
if it's not seen, it is 0. Otherwise, you return 1 plus.
yeah, right, exactly. The time complexity will be order of n with this. Because of the visited set, you will
No, the DFS will make the time complexity worse.
Why is that? Because you're still seeing each element only once, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah, you're right. You're visiting each element once, so that's O of n.
Yeah, order of n time complexity.
Even though you're using recursion, it's not.
I mean, space will blow up because if you have a list of 1 billion elements and all are in increasing order,
Consecutive.
then it will blow
Yeah.
up. Like if
The
space will go
recursion
huge.
stack is going to just build up and up. So there we will get a
Okay,
space.
1 second. I mean, if you look at the lead code question, wait, I
Mhm.
think VT also joined. I think they all joined 5:31 exact. Okay. So basically, if you see the lead code question, it says, could you implement the O of n solution?
Yeah.
Right?
O of n space or O of n time?
Yeah, that's I
You
think
use
it's,
time. They won't ask about space. It's time.
I mean, blow up in the sense here also the stack.
If we implement this code like right now, I think we will get TLE because the numbers can go up to like 10 power 9, minus 10 power 9 to 10 power 9, right? So our stack has to hold so many numbers.
Yeah, num that's linked is greater than equal to 10 to the fourth power.
Wait, this guy, I mean, okay, so they have given the constraints that the length, the nums of I can go 10 to the power 9. So I think that is one of the constraints then. I
Right.
mean, if you use DFS, then it's going to blow up.
Right.
The
Okay.
DFS will blow up because of the length given, nums dot length. 10 power 4.
10 to the power 4.
Not because of the value
Oh,
in
okay.
nums of I, but the length is what it mattered.
Okay,
Right. The
because
length that can be what, 10,000? I'm not sure if I have that math right.
that 10,000, I think.
Yeah, 10,000.
10,000.
So
Yes.
can a stack hold 10,000 elements maximum?
I mean, it depends upon the space, right? It's an integer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
space
like-
is really small. But it's just the recursion can eat up time.
It's recursion like the method reference and the integer. It's not just the integer, right? It's a method call reference with the variable set at time.
I mean, here also, I think O of S is, I mean, space-time is, so space-time is still going to be O of N, where N is the numbers present in the list. So it's still O of N, I think. I don't think we can, stack is going to blow up here.
Yeah, 10 power 4 should be okay, I guess. Both time and space complexity will be order of N with the solution.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's gonna run. That's
I can quickly write and see if
that's the question part. It might not run.
So do you want to quickly code it up on your lead code?
yeah, I'll code it up and get back in 5 minutes.
Looks like it is longest. Namita. Okay, so yeah, so basically this is what we are trying to solve. So basically the session was related to union find, and this is, I mean, if you see, okay, so the session was related to union find. I wanted to cover that for like everyone, and this question is tagged union find, and it's a hard problem, so I took this one. And so basically every union find problem can also be solved using DFS, and that is what we did here. Basically, right? And
Shankar, sorry to interrupt you. Can you go over what is union find?
We haven't gotten to that point yet. Oh.
So basically union find, right? I can explain what is union find, but the question would be, where exactly would you use union find? Where exactly union find will shine actually, right? So
Lots of places.
So who said VT?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, can you give the example? Like I mean, people have asked me like where union find like is helpful.
One is if you want to find a cycle. Another is if the graph is bipartite, and then
That you can use.
redundant connection.
That you can do using DFS also, right? Redundant connection.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you can use DFS, you can also use.
No, so
union find too.
where does union find shine then? I mean, which cannot be done using DFS.
Which cannot be done using DFS.
I mean, DFS will give you a worse complexity than union find.
Right.
Is there a use case for that?
Just union find.
Say again. What?
I mean, just union find, right?
Yes.
I mean, union find when you have like path compression and that, then that's where it shines a lot.
Basically, it becomes over one.
Right.
Okay. Yes. So basically, this question, should I go over union find then, guys? Or
So this is
basically-
a union find question.
yeah, this is I mean, this question was tagged union find.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So
So I
it's
took this
already
question. So this question can also be solved using union find. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
I think we'll wait for Sue to come. I think she has gone over the basics. So I think we'll start what union find is exactly. So basically, let's say how do I say? Let's say you want to let's say you're given n people, right? And those n people can form connections, like they can friend each other. Like I am Deven's friend, so that means it's I mean, if I am Deven's friend, then Deven also is my friend, right? And so similarly, Deven can be someone else's friend, right? And so I want to know, or so there are n people who can form connections. So I want to find in a very quick way, is there a connection between person 1 and 2? So basically, I'll just show. So let's say there are 1, 2, these are the IDs, and there are n people, or let's say n servers. These are servers, these are machines, right? And let's say you have server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4, and server 5, right? And let's say there's a direct link between
Ankit?
one and yeah.
We cannot see your screen.
Okay.
We just see the.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So let's say there are let's say there are 1 to n servers, computers, and here I'm showing only 5 servers. Okay, and there's a connection between, there's a direct link from 1 and 2. 1 and 2 can reach, and there's a direct connection from 2 to 4. Right? Similarly, from 3 to 5. So and these so what you so I'll just show you the queries. Right? So also imagine something like Facebook also. There are n number of people, and people are friending each other. So that's a very dynamic thing. Like you're keeping on connecting people or connecting servers, right? So let's say you're connecting computer 1 and computer 2, right? And let's say you're doing the same thing on LinkedIn, right? So I can reach directly to you like in one step, right? So another question would be, can I reach Namita or Shiji? I mean, is there a connection between me and you? So basically the is connected basically. So this is another query that that is frequently used, called. So basically there are two queries. One is connect two people, and so these are like lots of queries, and there'll be another query in between, which is there a connection between person 1 and person 2, right? So when you have these two queries and you want an efficient way, this is where you can do this in O of 1, right? So imagine on LinkedIn there are like 500 million people, and many people are connected to each other, right? And there's a query that comes in between and asks, is me and Deven connected? Are we friends already? Right? So you go in the database, you don't do that. Like there's no direct connection between me and Deven. But is it possible for me to reach Deven via another connections? So I go to Sue goes to CG goes to, has a connection with someone else, but I don't have a direct connection with Deven. So the question will be, can I reach Deven through other connections? So that's one of your query. And similarly, you'll have like lots of people who are coming to the LinkedIn and trying to find, they go to a person profile and they see, is there a way I can reach to that person? Is there some connection, like 6 number of levels, and can I reach that person? Right? So how will you do that in the most efficient way? And Union Find actually gives you a way to do that in O of 1. In just O of 1. So is connected, O of 1. Right? So basically this can also be done using DFS. You start a DFS from Ankur. You go to all the neighbors. I mean, you do a DFS on my neighbors, and then similarly you do a DFS on the neighbors of the neighbors, and you keep going down till you find Deven. That is pure basic DFS, right? That is pure basic DFS. So that will be O of n, right? So Union Find is a data structure. It's not an algorithm, it's a data structure that you can use, an efficient data structure, to do the same query in O of 1 or log of n, and much better than just using DFS algorithm. That is what Union Find is. Is that clear? Does that make sense to anyone? What I said? Guys, isn't it?
Yeah, understood, but maybe with one example we can more better.
Okay, so basically let's say you have one. So basically let's say you have some queries. Okay, let's say you have 1, 2, 3.
No, I understood the concept. Maybe we can work on one example then. Figure.
So let's say basically, let's say I call connect of 1 and 2. I call connect of this is the example. I mean, this is the example. Let's say, and are connected. So this is the only, like these are the only two queries. Connect two people and are connected. Let's say 3 and 2. Right. So this will be false. Right. And similarly, you'll have like lots of queries. You keep connecting and you keep let's say n-1 and n, and in between you'll shoot up a query, are connected. are connected 5 and 6. So this will be either true or this will be false. That's all. These are the only two queries, nothing else. So basically for connect also is nothing but you can do a direct DFS, right? You start from n-1 and you want to see if there's a, so basically let's say this question, right? You have a start, you have an end, and you want to find out if it's possible to go from S to E. If it is possible to reach, so you start DFS. You can also do it in BFS, and you want to see if there's a connection from S to E. So let's imagine this, right? This is like 1000 into 1000 matrix, right? It's huge, right? So going from one point to the other and doing DFS, it will take a lot of time, right? Fine, is it clear? It will take a lot of time. Like DFS, if you just do pure DFS algorithm. Understood? Is it? Am I being clear?
Yeah.
Right. So basically, if you didn't know what union find is, and you just implemented DFS, and so basically you have a graph, and you're just connecting two. Let's say you're connecting two nodes. So basically I connect all the nodes from S to the other node that is next to S, below S, above S, and left to S. That's the only thing I have. That's the graph. And when I'm running, is there a route between S and D? I do a DFS, right? And so I go. So basically, this is what we did in the question, right? You did a DFS. You start from 4, you go to 3, you go to 2, you go to 1. You keep seeing all the elements till you go till you exhaust all, right? And so we came up with O of n, right? So basically, and if you're given this matrix, you can, so basically in the you can use union find to find this if S and D are connected in like O of 1 or like log of n, by using this union find data structure. Understood? Okay, now how do I explain now? Should I take up an easier question from lead code now? Because you guys already did that using O of n.
Yes, Ango, that will be helpful.
Okay, so basically union find. Let me think.
So no, for the same question, how
Yeah.
do
What happened to your answer? Did you?
Yeah, I pasted it on Slack. It got accepted.
Oh, it got accepted. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to go over like if we
Mhm.
have to solve the same problem using union find instead of DFS, how do we build these connected components so that we can check?
No, but what I'm thinking is like people are asking me what is the, if it can be solved using DFS, why union find?
Why union?
Did you understand that? Did you have an answer for that?
Yeah, at least for this question, I think it won't improve in terms of time complexity, but there can be more problems where that might be helpful.
Okay, so basically, what I was thinking, where I think where union find, I mean for this question, right? Where is that? So let me just write it this again. So let's say you have 1, 2, 4, 100, 200, 3, and 1, right? So basically what you did is you created a set, you put all the numbers there, and as soon as you saw a number, you did a DFS.
Yeah.
Right? And you did a DFS from the numbers which are next to each other. And what you did is you actually created a graph. Basically what you did is you started a DFS, right?
I didn't make a graph, but I just
No, not a graph, but you actually navigated. I mean, you actually tried to find out what are the nearby neighbors.
Yeah,
And
right.
you kept going till down. As soon as you got one, so basically you were storing two things. You were doing DFS, and you were also noting down the size of the graph, size of the component.
Right.
Right. So basically, this is all you did. All you were doing is DFS and then size of the component, of the connected component, right? But union find actually shines when I mean the classic case of union find is to find out, you have a graph, right? You're given a graph or given some connections, and you want to find out if there is a connection between let's say 2 and 4. I know here in O of 1, you can find out if the next nearby element is already there in the set, that you've already done. But union find signs wherein you can do is connected in O of 1, in like in log of n way, in log of n time complexity.
Oh, how will it be log of n?
So do you know, so is connected, right? So basically I'm thinking, how should I explain now union find to you guys? Okay, so I'll just give you what union find actually looks like. Then we'll see how to, I'll give you like at the end what union find looks like, and then we'll see how to go from there. Okay, because that is not how I actually used to. I mean, I've taken 3 sessions on union find. That is not how I actually started. I actually started from the bare basics, like using linked list and simple arrays, and then actually build up to the end. I don't think we have so much time for that. Okay, so what in union, basically union find, what you'll have is basically you'll have trees, right? Let's say the IDs are 1 till n, 1, 2, 3, 4 till n, right? And when you're getting connections, so let's say 1 and 2 are connected, 3 and 4 are connected, let's say, right? So basically what is eventually going to happen is you'll eventually have some tree, 4, 5, 6. So basically and 8, right? Similarly, so this is, let's say this is one connected component, and let's say you have another connected component, right? Let's say this is 7, 11, and 13, right? So now let's say this is component 1. Let's say connected component 1, connected component 2, right? And let's say you're given another, you get a query in which it says connect, let's say 1 and 13, right? Connect 1 and 13. Can you see this, what I've drawn here?
Yeah.
Right. So you have connected component 1. You have, I mean, this is one connected component. Basically, this is called this is a cluster, and all the it is possible to reach from one node to the another. So if you got a, let's say you got a query of R 2 and 6 connected, it will say yes, because 6 and 2 and are in the same component, right? Now let's say someone says connect 1 and 13. So now by connecting 1 and 13, these two will become one component. And now if you get a query of R 7 and 4 connected, like,
So it doesn't matter in a set like where who is parent, who is child. Like by connecting 1 and 13, like any of it can be parent or child. All it matters is whether they are in the same connected component.
no. So basically, this is what union find actually shines. I mean, basically, this R is connected. You can do this efficiently in either O of log n or O of 1. Like this will be amortized. Okay. And how these trees are actually structured is 8 is pointing to 2, 2 is pointing to 4, 5 is pointing to 6, and 1 is pointing to itself. Right? 11 is pointing to 7, and 13 is pointing to 7, and 7 is pointing to itself. Right? So this is your tree structure, and that is nothing but how they are nothing but there'll be a data structure called parent. So what is the question, Sue?
No, when you are doing a union of these, how do we connect them? Like you said, like after we join, when we ask are they connected, we said true. Does it matter on how they are connected? Whether
so basically there are okay. So is everyone following here, since we didn't start from the basics? Is anyone following what union find is?
I do not know about this algorithm, so I am finding it a little obscure. Like I understand there are connections, but maybe if I could see a working example.
Yeah, same with me. I'm hearing this for the first time.
Yeah.
That okay.
You want to show something in the website or something, you know?
No.
So union find, basically you have two operations, right? Union and find. And the best example is, I mean, you can draw it pictorially if you want.
So basically, let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, let's say these are the ID of the people. Okay, right? And they all are single clusters, right? These are all single components. Like one is not connected to anyone, two is not connected to anyone. So these are like isolated islands. Okay. Okay. Is it clear? And initially, now let's say initially, if I just called is connected 2 and 3, this will be false, right? So similarly, if I call any 2 points is connected, it will be returned false. Basically, no one is connected to each other. And so let's say what we are also doing is we are creating, let's say we create a parent array, right? And in the parent array, what we are doing is we are storing the ID. I mean, what do I say? So let's say this is the array, and these are the numbers.
Ankit, why do we need parent? Where did parent come from?
No. So basically, what I'm saying is, so basically each node it belongs to its own cluster, and that cluster we put an ID to it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Is that clear, guys? So let's say 1, 2, and 3 are connected, right? So we are just giving this cluster a number. Let's say we give it we can give it any name. We can give it A or B or C. We can give it 1 or 2 or 3, right? So that is the idea. Initially, all the numbers or all the person, they are alone. They just joined LinkedIn. They have not connected with anyone. So they are clusters of themselves, right? And initially, if my name is Ankur, the name of my cluster is going to be Ankur as well. And assuming all these IDs are unique, right? So let's say, so this is my parent is nothing but my cluster array, and the IDs are the same. Whatever the names of these, the ID of these, the people are. Is it clear? So okay, I'll just draw this. So let's say this is 1.
Can I give a better example?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'll try it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I cannot write anything.
You tell me, I'll try to write it.
So what you can do is just draw a bunch of circles.
Okay.
Okay, and give it a different color, not in a sequence, in a random fashion. On a space, correct?
Like this?
Yeah, so this is some color, right? And this is some color, and next one. And you can draw a bunch of circles below as well, you know. Assume like these are nothing but magnets.
Wait. But before that,
okay.
Is this understood what I'm trying to do here? Like everyone, or should we give a better example? But is this clear? So this guy, own cluster. Deven, did you understand?
Yeah.
Be active. Keep saying. Otherwise, I won't be able to move ahead. If you don't ask out, I'll be stuck. I'll be in that limbo state.
Yeah, each of the clusters is basically like those colored circles. They're all by themselves right now.
Right. So they are, yeah. So basically, that is what VT was also saying. So now let's say, so they all are individual, right? Now let's say I call connect, right? I call connect 1 and 2, right? So now 1 and 2 are going to be in their own cluster. Now what it will become like this. So this will be one cluster, and let's say the ID is 1 only. I mean, the ID of 2, I change it to 1. Now 1 and 2 have the same ID because they are in the same cluster. And these all, they are in their own different clusters. Now let's say I call connect 3 and 4, right? And so now the ID of this will be 3. Where is it? Okay, now these two are in the same cluster now, so they have the same ID, which is 3. Now if I call is connected 1 and 4, this will be false because the ID of 1 is 1 and 4 is 3. So this is different, so it's false. Is that clear?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Everyone, this is clear? Okay. So so that's the what do I say? That is the most brute force thing. So basically, what you do is, so when you're connecting two things, right? Okay, let's say 1, 2, 3, they all are connected. I mean, let's say, wait. Okay, now who has not seen union find before? I think Arya.
Me too.
Namita.
Yeah,
No.
me too. I
Okay.
haven't seen this before.
Okay, now let's say 1, 2, 3. They all are in the same cluster 1, and these are in the same cluster 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now so let's say this ID is 5. Okay. Now tell me the algorithm. Now let's say I call connect. Let's say I call connect 2 and 4. Okay. Fine. Now what do I need to do to connect them? I need to make the ID of 1 as same as the other one.
Yeah.
So basically the ID of 1 is 1, 2 is 1, 3 is 1, 4 is 5, 5 is 5, 6 is 5, and 7 is 5. Is
Yeah.
that clear? Okay. Now tell me if I wanted to connect 2 and 4. What will I do?
Either of them, you'll make the IDs same for the entire group of 5.
Okay. So how will I do that? Tell me that in terms of a code, a piece of code.
So you know the ID of 2, you'll save that, grab that ID.
Yeah. So basically it's
Then-
there in my parent array or cluster array. Okay. So this is 1 and this is 5. Okay. Now,
And then you'll get the ID of 4, which is 5. And then you'll get each element which is inside 5 in the
hmm,
cluster 5, and you will update that cluster's ID to 1.
okay. So basically I'll change 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1, 7 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me what is the worst time complexity for this?
You went through the entire next 5th array, so order of n.
Is it clear to everyone? So basically, let's say you have only one element, and let's say you have n minus 1 elements which are all connected, right? Like right now you are just doing randomly, and let's say you're connecting 1, and let's say you're connecting an element from n minus 1, this one, let's say 5 and 1, and let's say you make everyone in n minus 1 element or array, you give them the ID of 1. So basically what you're doing is you go through the array, you loop, you find out if the ID of that element is n minus 1, change it to 1. So basically it becomes O of n, because at the worst you're changing the ID of n minus 1 elements. That is the worst case. So it becomes O. So a time complexity is O of n. Is that clear?
Yeah.
This is so basically I'm going union finds like from basic, like because you guys are new. So it's
Thank
O
you
of
so
n.
much.
Right? Sue, is this too slow for you?
Yeah. No, it's good, Ankur. I'm able to
Okay.
follow.
So they went clear, right? It's O of n.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the problems are you seeing over here? Like everyone. So okay, now let's say let's say here you have two things, right? One is connect, and so obviously you said it's O of n, right? So tell me, let's say I want to find out if two are connected. Like is connected. What is the time complexity for is connected? Let's say I and j.
Order of 1.
Oh, 1.
That's a lookup.
Yeah, it's just a simple lookup, right? So it's O of 1, right? So you have O of n, and initially I told you there are only 2 queries. I mean for this type of question or a problem, you're getting connections, and you're getting a query is connected, which is O of 1. So it's not good because it's still O of n, right? So one of the things is, and you want to get it down to at least log n log n. I mean, we want to improve like both case. If we can get them down to log n, it is much better than having one operation O of n, because we have no idea. Both are like they occur at the same level, same number of times. Fine. Okay. Now, so how will you improve this one? What are the problems have you seen? Like O of n. So how will you improve this? Can we make connect fast? And how?
By using additional space, I don't know. Like basically, we want to be able to identify all the elements connected quickly.
Okay. Now,
Can we have a
Okay.
list or something where like an adjacency list where
okay. So let's
No,
go.
for-
Let's go a linked list solution. Okay, I know you guys have not have seen this. So let's say what we are doing here is, so let's say when we are connecting, let's say 1 and 2, right? Initially, let's say 1 and 2 are like this. What we are doing is we are making, so initially 2 is pointing to itself. I mean, pointing to itself means 2 as the ID of 1, ID as 2, and 1 is pointed to itself, right? All we are doing is 2 now points to 1. Fine. And now let's say we have 3, 4, and 5, right? And we are doing a connect of, let's say, 2 and 3. Let's say we are doing connect of 2 and 3. What we do is just point 2 to the end of 2.
Yeah.
Okay, is that clear? What I'm like, what we have done, like just a better, what do I say? Okay, now let's say, okay, let's not go with the linked list. Wait.
It's like a hash map approach, internals of hash map, where you're bucketing them together connected, and like connecting is just linking one bucket, like one to another in order of 1.
So let's say this linked list, right? You already know what its head is, right? You also know what its tail is, right? And similarly for 3 and 4, 5, you already know what their head is and what the tail is. Let's say you implement a linked list, like a different class, and you have 2 pointers for that linked list, which is what is the head of that linked list and what is the end. So basically linked list, nothing but a cluster. So for every cluster, you know what the head pointer is, and that is nothing but the what do I say? That is nothing but the ID of that cluster, right? And when you're doing connect, what you're doing is you find the head of one linked list. You find the head of one linked list and you connect it to the tail of the another linked list, right? So that is one approach, right? So let's say you have 1 and 2 like this, and you have 3, 4, and 5. Now to connect these two, what you're doing is you do it like this, right? So now your connect is, okay, now what is your connect time complexity?
O of 1.
And what is your what do I say? What is another one? Is connected.
Also O of 1.
How?
That will be O of n. Then you have to traverse the entire link.
Oh, you have to walk through the list, so it's O of n.
Right, because you'll have to walk through the list.
Yeah, so we lost that.
Say again?
So we lost on that, like we were earlier.
Yeah, but we went from slow connect to
Fast
Yeah.
connect.
So basically
Fast
both are
connect.
the same, right? So basically now
Yeah.
still we have O of 1 and O of n.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, this is a way of telling that, I mean, you change that structure to different, like to a different way, and you're still not getting good, right? So instead, now this is where we come up with a tree solution, wherein let's say you have 1 over here and 2 is connected here, and let's say you have 3, you have 4, and you have 5, right? Instead of connecting 3 to 2, so this is what linked list solution was. Instead of doing this, what we'll do is we'll connect 3 to 1, right? So now when we are connecting, it will become like this. So this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. So instead of connecting,
So Ankur, is it like a n-ary tree we are talking, not binary?
yes, there's no relation here. Like it's an n-ary tree.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, just
so
if
it,
you have to connect one more under one, so it will be another branch.
yeah.
on-
So instead of connecting tail to the what do I say? Sorry. Instead of connecting the head to the tail, instead of connecting head to the tail, we are connecting head to the head. Right? Is this clear? What improvement we are trying to do? Like this is just a concept why. Like not why, but this is what we are going to do. Connecting the head of one tree to the head of the another tree. Is that clear? What we did?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now tell me. Okay. Obviously, this is also. I mean, if someone says that time complexity for this is also connecting is O of 1 because you're just pointing the head to the head. Oh no, wait. Yeah. Basically, it's O of 1 because you already know the head of a particular cluster. So connect is still O of 1 and is connected is O of n.
Of log n.
Why?
You're traversing down the tree now.
Yeah.
NLE tree.
Is it balanced?
But yeah.
So basically, let's say you have 1 and you have n minus 1, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 up till n minus 1. You're connecting 1 and 2. Now this is pointing to 1, right?
Yeah.
So it's still so is connected, right? So basically, to find out if 2 points are connected, so basically connect is O of 1, and if you're trying to find out is connected 1 and let's say 1000, you still have to go up, right? You'll have to find the head, right? So that is still O of n because the length of the tree is just increasing. There's no way you're not maintaining the size of the tree, right?
So you mean it's an n-ary tree, but it is not balanced. Therefore, we are saying order of n.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, if it was balanced, it would be log n base.
Yes. If it was balanced.
Okay.
Is it clear to everyone? I know I'm like I don't know what order I'm going in because it was not planned. So I'm going union find from scratch. So is this understood? Like still we have the same problem, like tree, we have the same problem, right? So one way, okay. So Devin, did you understand here till here?
Yeah.
Okay. So one way, right? So now the problem one was the tree was not balanced, right? So you want to try to make sure that you always balance the tree, right? So if you balance the tree, the time complexity would come down to log of n. So give me an idea, like if someone has gone through the basics of union find, how will you achieve that balance? I mean, balance in the sense you want to keep your trees short. How will you do that? Achieve that?
For each, well, rather than keep the entire chain length, right? Like 2, 3, 4, 5, because you know 1 and 3 are basically connected through 2. Can't you just link 3 to 1?
Sorry, say again.
Okay, so right now we're saying 2 is connected to 1, right? And 3 is connected to 2. Okay. By association, you can say 3 is also connected to 1, right? And you can say that for every single thing down that chain, 4, 5 to n minus 1, right? So rather than saying leave 3 connected to 2, can't we just connect 3 to 1?
And what will it achieve us?
So you're reducing the height of the tree. Basically, instead of having n level deep, right? It's basically 2 levels deep now.
Okay, so basically, is this what you're saying? So let's say we have 1 and 2, 3 like this,
right?
And let's say we have 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and if we connected, let's say this tree to this one, this would become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? What Devin suggested?
No.
Okay. Let's not go with this solution first. Let's see. Okay. Now let us see. So basically, the problem was we had this tree which was length n minus 1, and this tree was size 1, right? So and when we are saying that we wanted to connect 1 and 3, right? What we were doing is we were taking randomly. We were pointing the head of 3 to 1. So, I mean, we're not doing anything. We're just pointing one to the another, right? And in that case, we're not even maintaining the size of the tree. I mean, we're randomly pointing. So that is not helping us reduce the size of the tree. So one idea is to maintain the size of the tree of which is bigger, and point the root of the shorter tree to the longer tree, or the tree which has more members. So that way you're making sure that your height of the tree is small.
And that is called weighted union find.
Yes. So this is, so basically you have, let's say you have a tree which is size 3 and one is size 7, right? Or let's say the height of one tree is 7 and the height of one is 3, right? And when you're trying to connect these two, what you do is you take the smaller tree which is size 3 and point it to 7, right? Okay, now let you give you an example. Let's say we have 1, 2 and 3. This is one tree, and let's say you have 4, 5 and 6. Okay, now let's say both are size, let's say the height of this is 1, this is 1. When you connect these two trees, basically you connect 4 to 1. What is the height of the resulting tree?
2.
2, right? So basically 1, 2, 3, you have 4, 5 and 6. Okay. Now let's say this is your tree, and now you're again connecting these two trees with 7 and 8. Now what is the resulting tree size? Now let's say this is 9. Now if you're connecting this tree to that, what is the resulting size? Oh, wait. Yeah.
4.
No. Remove 9. Yeah. 7 and 8. Now you're connecting to the another tree. What is the size?
Still, it remains the same, 2, the longer tree.
Right. So basically this becomes 7 and this is 8. So when you're pointing a smaller tree to the tree which is like longer in length, either the size increases by 1 or it remains the same. So that is the benefit of making the keeping the tree size. I mean, that by doing this, you keep the size of the tree, the length, the depth of the tree small. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Right. So that is the one option to do that. So okay, now that is okay. So basically what we are doing is, so initially I told you, right, there's a parent pointer or a parent array which is storing the ID of each cluster. Let's say 1.
Ankur, one correction. I don't think so. You look at the depth of the tree, right? Because that will add to your complexity.
Why?
Or you look at the number of nodes that each of the tree has, right?
Meaning, I mean it does. I mean either you check the size or you check the length. It is still going to be the same. You get the same complexity, like same.
Okay, you're maintaining. So you'll maintain the length whenever you do connect. Is that what you're saying?
So wait. Let me. I mean I took this session long back. Let me remember what was it. So if you maintain the length, right, the length of the tree.
Oh, you can store the height or you can store the number of nodes, right?
No, but if you store the number of you're saying number of nodes. But
is that what you're talking about, VT?
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand.
So basically, So basically, but what did we do here? We're trying to keep the length of the tree small, right? So we are just storing the length of the tree.
Right. So let's say if you have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, a linear one, then what will happen? Then you're saying that the tree which is rooted at 1 will become a child of 7?
Say again, give me what is the example? Say again.
So let's say you have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, assume.
All singly pointed?
Or singly pointed.
Okay.
So now, and you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, that original tree that you have, and you don't have 7 and 8 there, correct? So now in this case, when you perform union, which will become the children of which tree?
One will become the union of 7.
If this is size 3, you can point it over here, right? It will still be 3. It will be 3, right? So if you did 1 over here, and let's say you had 2, you had 3, you had 4, and you had 1, 2, 3, 6, and 5. Height will still be 3, right?
Oh, you're saying that 1 will become the child of this
7.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking at the height and not the total nodes.
Yes.
Okay.
So whichever tree has the greatest height is the tree to which you're attaching to, because you're not going to increase the height of that tree.
Right, but in that case, what I'm saying is, like, let's say when you're performing union of a 2 component, then you will be calculating the depth of it, or you will have to know the depth of it upfront.
Initially the depth is always 0, right? Initially the depth of every node is 0, right?
Right. No, I understand. What I'm saying is your tree is already built, and then there is a 7, 8, 9, 10 component came.
But I'm also maintaining another data structure which stores the length of the tree, right? If 7, 8,
in every
9
component you are maintaining that. Okay.
Yeah. So basically for size also, that is what you're doing, right? You're storing the size of the cluster, right?
Right. Makes sense.
I mean, when you said 7, 8, 9, you're storing the size as 3, and based on the size, you're pointing one to the another. I'm saying instead of storing the size, I'm storing the height.
Makes sense.
Right. So what did I say? If the depth of both is same, the height will increase by only 1. And if 1 is 1 and 1 is 2, it will still remain the same. So it's not difficult to maintain the size of the length of the tree now, right?
Yeah. No, I was in my head, I was thinking like online. Right now you have a component already there, right? But let's say if there is online data that is coming to you, which is a component in itself.
I know. I mean, when I started, I already knew the size of the tree as well, and the height of the tree as well. Like both, I already know.
Okay.
I mean, there's no, if it is done, and if you don't, I mean, even if you don't know the size of the tree, it's still going to be O of n, right? I mean, that is what we are trying to do. We are keeping the size. We know the size.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Is this clear to everyone? So this is how we are keeping the height of the tree small. Okay. Okay. Now let me. So I should have actually showed you the code as well. Okay. Okay. So I'll just give a pointer. So one is, let's say this is your tree. Okay, where is your tree? The root of every tree points to itself. Right? So let's say you had 1, 2, and 3. 3 is pointing to 2, 2 is pointing to 1, and 1 is pointing to itself. Right? So what this means is the ID of so that is one point. Okay, root of every tree points to itself. So let's hold on. So let's say initially we had only 1, right? Let's say we had initially only 1. 1 was pointing to itself. Basically, the ID of 1 is 1, and we had a different tree which was 2 and 3. 3 was pointing to 2. So basically, 2 is pointing to the ID of 2 is 2, and ID of 3 is also 2. Is that clear? And now let's say someone said connect 1 and 3. Let's say connect 1 and 3. What this will do is this will be 1. Now ID of 2 will be 1, and 3 will be still 2. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Deven?
Yeah.
Everyone? Okay. So I'll say this again. Okay. Now let's say we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. I'll give the clear example. Okay. Now initially, is this understood? 1 is pointing to itself, 3 is pointing to itself, 4 is pointing to itself, 5 is pointing. Is this clear?
Yeah.
I mean, by pointing to itself, it means that they are them. I mean, the ID of those clusters are themselves, like
not connected to anyone else.
Yes, and ID of 1 is, I mean, the cluster which is 1 is 1. This cluster is 2. This is 3. This is 4, and this is 5. Fine. Okay. Now let's say I did a connect. of 1 and 2. Right? What will I do here? I take the tree which has 2, the tree which has 1. I find the root of that tree and point the root of that tree to the other tree. So now it will become 1. Now 1 is pointing to itself. So that means ID of 1 is 1 and 2 is pointing to 1, in the sense ID of 2 is also 1. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, now let's say I do a connect of 2 and 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can I add one pointer, Ankur?
Yeah.
See, let's take example, right? Assuming that if you have array of the elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm just giving idea. If 1 and 2 connected, we can pick 1 is the parent. We can put the 1 pointer like that, the basic steps, then the people can understand, okay, this belongs to that. Like that, if we can build the array kind of stuff, right, it is easy for them to understand. Like whatever you have, right, okay, these are connected. Okay, this is a parent, this number will be 1, 1, right? If 3 and 4 are connected, 3, 3 is the number. Like that, we can identify that, okay, 3 and 4 are connected.
Okay, wait. Now I got the idea. Wait 1 second. Now let's say you had one more tree which is 3 followed by 4. Okay. Now the ID of 3 is 3, ID of 4 is 3. Okay. Now let's say I say connect. I say connect 1 and 4. Okay. Now what will be the final one? Let's say you had 1 here. This was 2. Right? Now this will be 3 and this will be 4. So we take the ID of 1, right? We take the ID of 3. So basically 4, right? We are connecting 1 and 4. Right? So we go to the root, we find out what the root of this tree is. We find it's 3, right? And we change it to 1. So the ID of 3 is 1, 4 is still 3. Is that clear? What we're actually building?
Yes, Ankur. So the way we'll always when we say connect, there are 2 parameters, the left and right parameters, right? So the left is what always becomes parent, is it?
No. So basically, no. So basically, that is where we came up with the length of the tree. I mean the depth of the tree.
No, what I mean is you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which are basically of same height initially, right? Like 1, 2 and 3, 4. Now
yes.
1 and 4.
Yeah. If both are the same, randomly pick one.
Okay.
Randomly pick one. It doesn't matter. We are not maintaining anything. We are just trying to make sure that the size, the depth of the tree is small.
Got it.
Okay. Is this clear to everyone? What is happening till now?
Yeah, one question. So why did we not update the parent of 4 to or the ID of 4 to 1?
Because the idea here was we are pointing the root of one tree to the root of the other tree.
Okay, so it's not the cluster ID, but we are pointing to the root.
Yeah. So imagine one tree having like 10 elements.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're suggesting is you're changing the size of, you're changing the root, like the ID of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the first idea that we came up with? Like to change, you get the idea of everyone and change it to something.
Oh, yeah.
O of n.
Yeah.
Right. So we are not doing that. We want to make it fast. So connect here is we just change the root of one tree and point it to the other tree. And the property here is we point the root of the smaller tree in the sense the depth, to the longer tree. That way we are maintaining this, we are making sure the tree is of maintaining the optimal height of the tree. Is it clear?
Yes. And then I don't know if I'm jumping forward. And in this case, if there is a question, is connected 4 and 2, we go backwards until we find the same root, same parent?
So basically you try to find out the root of this tree, of the tree in which 4 is. You find out where 2 is, If they're the same, they're in the same. They're in the same.
Same.
They are connected
That's right.
basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and also so basically I'll just so basically what you're doing, I mean, you guys said, right, you only said that to find out the root of the tree, you keep going up till you find the root, right?
Yeah.
So basically you're going up you're traversing the length of the tree,
Yeah.
right? And the property here is the height of the tree will be log n. So basically you're going only the height of the tree. And since you're going only up the tree, your is connected is log of n.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So basically what you're doing is connected of two elements is you find the ID of one, which is the first element, and you also do the of the next one, and both you have to go to the root, and which is nothing but the height. So it's O of h, and here since the tree is small, balanced, it is log of n. I'll later on at the end I'll come up why is it log of n. Okay, because this is not a binary tree, but still there's a
So the base would be the number of branches, or
base
something.
means?
The base of like log base 2n is for a binary tree.
I mean, it's something. It's not 2. 2 means it's a binary tree. This is not binary.
So log base the number of branches of
So
the
it's some number log.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, it can have million elements. I mean, the tree can have like million branches, right? Doesn't matter. But I mean, if there are million elements and all are pointing to the same element, the tree is still small, right? So let's say you have one and you have like 1,000 nodes here, right? 2, 3, 4, up to 1,000. The height is still 1, right? But it can have like a million branches, like 1,000 branches. But to go from 1 till the root, it's still O of 1. I mean, you just have to go up, and that's just the height of the tree. So it's still log of n. Is it clear? Okay. Now also, how do you do connect? Let's say I want to do connect I and j. What is the time complexity for this?
That's order 1.
Why?
Because we only change the root of one thing that we are making connection.
So how do you find out the root?
By its parent, and we change the other one, j's parent, to be i's parent.
Wait, what did you do here? You point out the root of one tree to the root of the other. So you're still finding the root.
Yeah. So we're going all the way up. That is log n. Yeah.
Yeah. So O of log n.
Yeah.
Is this clear to everyone, Sue? Is this are you following?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Sue, is your kid understanding?
I don't know. You should ask him.
Okay. So, okay. Now I'll give you the code for this, because in your interview, so there's another thing that Devin already suggested, which was path compression. Even if you don't write that, even if you come up with log of n solution, like if you, it's fine. I mean, if you just verbally say path compression, or if you say something, it's fine. But at the minimum, you have to come up with a log n solution. So you guys help me to. So there are two methods, right? So one is connect. So this is one method, and another is what is another? Let's say is connected. This is connected, and another is let's say is connected. Right, and another is find root. Find root of I. So which one do you want? So okay, now let's start with is connected. So Sue, tell me, how will you implement this? And let's say initially, so I told you, right, there was a array, or let's say a dictionary, which was storing the ID of everyone. Let's say this is I, and there's also let's say height of everyone is 0. Is this clear? These two arrays.
Yeah.
So parent, so there's a dictionary or a hash map, and let's say there are n elements. The keys will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the parent. So basically the cluster ID, and height of every tree is 0. I mean at the first starting, right? Now tell me, is connected. How do you find out if 2 points are connected? And let's say you have the find root already implemented.
Yeah. So I'll have a like basically DFS like and I will go and like I take one element I and I'll until like and I see the until the root is not the same, I will go.
Yeah. So basically, okay. So okay.
I'll have someone else go at it. Have my kid.
Yeah. So who wants to give the other answer? I mean, don't say about any other algorithm, but just say how we were doing is connected. So basically, we did. I think. So let's say we have, as I told initially, we find out the root of the smaller tree and we point it to the root of the longer tree, right? So let's say we do a find of root of I. We do a root j equal to find root of j. Okay, now what?
Now we see which one has the shortest length, height.
But what if before that, wouldn't you check if they are on the same tree?
Oh yeah. Oops.
So what is that condition?
So if I is not equal to j.
I is not equal to j, or root I is not equal to root j?
Root I, sorry.
So basically, if root I is exactly equal to root j, you just return false. Is that fine, everyone?
What? I think it's connected, right?
So yeah, it is connected at that point.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Return true. Right. Okay. So that's all. So basically, is connected is like done. Login. Or did I miss something?
Else
or return false. Fine. Okay. Now let's go with connect. So is connected fine to everyone?
Yes, looks correct.
Like in log n, you are able to find out if it is connected. If two elements are connected. So if you have a big board which is like 1000 into 1000, and if you want to go from one to the other, let's say you are doing this, right? I mean, like what do you say? A maze, right? You have boundaries, and you're trying to check like if there's a connection between two random points in log n. So 1000 log n, 1000 into 1000. Sorry, 1000 into 1000 log n of log of 1000 into 1000. You can find out if 2 points are connected, right? Okay. Now tell me for connect. Devin?
You'd find the root of both. You say root I equals find root of I, root j equals find root of j.
And if they are the same, you return false. Right. I mean, you don't do any connection basically. Fine, correct? Okay, now what?
Yep. Otherwise, you would find the height of both.
Mm-hmm. So basically, that is nothing but wait. Let's say hi equal to, let's say this was height of root I. H of j equal to
right
height of root j.
Height of root j.
Okay, now what? What is the condition?
So now you would say whichever one is you would connect whichever one is smaller to the one that's bigger. So if let's just say if hj is greater than hi, right? We would then say the
So now
for the
you're
root
pointing.
of
Yeah.
I.
Correct. Say again. Say again.
Yeah, you'd point the root of I to.
Yeah. How?
root of
What was
J.
that? So basically, we had this parent, right? Which we were storing the.
You do connect. All right. Yeah, you can do connect.
This is what you're doing. Connect.
Oh yeah, we are doing connect, right?
So basically, we update the parent, right? Parent of one node to the. So what was
The
parent
parent of the other node.
No, not the parent of the other. So basically, parent of both are pointing to itself. Okay. So initially, parent of I.
It's
Sorry.
pointing to I.
Okay. Sorry. The parent of I is root I. And parent of. Sorry. Wait. I'm not doing this correctly. Wait. So basically, what you do is you do parent of root j equal to root I. Is this clear? So, is this clear? So you had two trees.
Yeah.
You had two trees. One was root y pointed. So this was the root, and another tree, its root was root j. That is what we found here, right? So I is somewhere here, j is somewhere here. We went up, we found out the root, which is root j. Similarly, we found out root I. Is this clear?
Yes.
Right? And what we did is we made the parent of root j as root I. That's all. That is what we did before also. So this one was pointing to itself, 2 was pointing to 1. Now to connect 1 and 4, wait, okay, to connect 1 and 4, we went to the root, we found 3, we changed it to 1. That's all. And this remains 3. Is that clear? Nothing else changed. We go to the top, we found the root, we point the parent of the root to the other root. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So Devan, what else?
Otherwise, you'd point parent of root I equals root j.
Is this clear to everyone? Did I miss anything? Did Devan miss here something?
Yeah, it's clear to me.
What did you miss? You missed something.
Wait, what did I miss? If it
So
connect,
if anyone knows, so we except VT and Vijay, whoever knows the answer, do tell.
Can I say something here?
Yeah.
I guess you have to increase the size here too. As soon as you put it to the, for example, in root j one, then you have to increase that height basically.
Devan, did you get that? So
Yes,
basically, you forgot the to set the length.
oh, okay.
Right.
So next time you come, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you're okay. And what if? So you're saying you increase by 1, but you don't. You're not always you increase by 1. Sometimes it's the same. When is the same? When is it the same?
So how do you calculate that then? You have to walk down the tree.
So if no, so if height of one is greater than the other, the height doesn't change. But if they're equal, they change by 1. That is what you said, right? Previously.
Yeah.
So if height is greater than j, okay, fine. This is fine. But in your else, what is your else? There are two cases. Hi is less than hj, and also hi is exactly equal to hj. In hi is less than hj, fine, you keep the height the same. But what if it is hi is exactly equal to j? You have to increase 1, right?
Right.
Clear?
Yeah.
Everyone clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically here there'll be 3 cases. So if hi is greater than hj, if hi is less than hj, or else hi exactly hj. And if they are the same, you increase the height of one by +1. And if they are the same, it doesn't matter. You can point either to anyone else, like to the other one. So let's say this is else if hi is less than hj. This is what you do. So else you can do anything right here, doesn't matter. Root of I equal to root j. And what do you do here next? Whose height will you increase? This is, let's say this is root j. Whose height are you increasing?
Root j.
Root.
So height of root j plus equal to 1. Is that clear? Is that clear, guys?
Yeah.
A lot of silence means you guys don't understand. Arya?
Yes.
So one second. I guess the way I thought of it is if root I height is greater than root
Height of the other
j,
tree?
height of the j, then you would increment that point root of height of j, root of j basically.
Of root of j.
Means you don't need this 3 condition here. You just have a if and else condition.
So am I ever going to use, okay, so what you're saying is I have 2 trees. I have 2 trees. One is root I, one is root j. Right? Initially these 2 are different. And okay. Next,
are you drawing somewhere? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. And now I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I do is root I, and now I'm doing this. What you're saying is you're increasing the size of root j.
Sorry, root I. I mean, sorry, opposite. So basically, you just needed an else. So you did this else if. We don't need that else if. We just need the else condition, if and else. And in a if condition, you're gonna increment the root I.
Okay, so you're saying if hi exactly equal to hj, you do the increment. In another case, you don't do it.
No. If hi is greater than means hi is less than hs, then you do increment.
Why will you increment? So if one is 1, 2, 3, and one is 4 and 5, and you want to combine these 2, is the size increasing? Is the length increasing of the tree? So if
I see.
If one is 2, one is 1.
Okay.
They're
I
not.
guess I'm thinking in array size. So array size cannot be increased for. That's what I'm trying to think that way.
No. So basically, the point is you maintain the length. You want to. That is what that point is, right? I mean, I know, and if you go to by the literature, they all say by size, but it's eventually the height that is you're trying to maintain.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, size is size. So basically, I think all you guys are saying by the size of the cluster, right? Size of the tree. Sizes of trees, nothing but the number of the nodes.
Yeah.
So when you actually when you maintain the size of the tree, and when you do some analysis, I don't remember that, when you take the size, the size of the tree is always less than or equal to log n only. They both are the same. It's bound. I mean, wait. Let me think. Wait. So I mean, the point is, if you maintain it by size or you maintain it by the length of the tree, both are still going to be log n. They both are going to be still be log n. There is some upper bound of something to the other, but it's still going to be log n. But I'm telling you here based on the height of the tree, right? I mean, that is what we are trying to optimize, right?
Yeah.
So basically, David, did you understand this one?
Yeah.
Basically, this is what we are doing. We are keeping the height of the tree small, right? Is this clear to everyone? So if this one elif else, okay, I'll also give you this size if you guys want. Okay. Okay. Okay, wait. So this is done, right? Or do you guys want me to go over this again? Of connect.
Ankur, I'll drop off now.
Okay, fine. I'm recording.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay. Now let's go for def find, or what was it? Find root. Let's say I. So Devin, are you understanding everything? Getting everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me how will you find out the root? What is the code for the root? I think it's very simple. So basically,
you just recursively go up the root until it's pointing to itself.
So while I is not equal to wait. So while parent of I is not equal to I, what do you do?
You make I equal to the parent of I so that you can go up.
And then?
And yeah, and then when you exit the loop, you have I, which is, yeah.
So basically at the end, you have parent I and I pointing to itself. So you either return I or you return parent I, both will do the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so this is what union find is all about. Okay. So basically, in log of n, you were able, so connect, right? Ij, this is log of n, and is connected is also log of n. Because is connected is basically calling find root 2 times, so it's log of n. So from O of n and O of 1, we optimize is connected and connect both to log n. Okay. Okay. Now, is it clear to everyone? This is union find.
Yes.
Ask away your doubts if you have, because this is something that you coded in like 5 minutes in your interview.
Ankur, before we hang up or whenever, like, could you like give us some very good problems on this concept, which are only stuff?
So before that, I'll tell you one more thing. So you guys, and also VT, he kept saying size, right? So basically, okay, no, there's size also, and there is something called path compression also. So I'll go with path compression also. Okay, I'll give you the size one also. Size, guys, can you code up the size one? Like initially the size of every cluster is 1, right? So initially the length of each node was 0, but here you start with size equal to 1 for every cluster, right? Devin, you're getting?
Yeah.
So basically what VT was trying to suggest initially was, instead of storing the length of each tree, store the number of nodes in that tree. I mean, by doing the, either of the thing, you'll still get the same height of the tree as log n, like optimized, like balanced tree, like as minimum length as possible, right? So initially you start with initializing every node with length 1, right? And the only change that is going to be is in connect. All you do is you just point one to the other based on the size of the trees. And the only thing is, instead of increasing by 1, what you do is size of root I is going to be plus equal to size of root j. That's it. So
so instead of incrementing height, you're just incrementing a size.
Yes, basically if size of 1 is 3, 1 is 4, and if you're pointing the smaller tree to the bigger one, you're just increasing the size by 3. That's it. And the reverse also. That's all. Nothing else. And there's no point. And if the size is same, it doesn't matter. I mean, you still increase the size. If size is 3, it still becomes 6. 3 plus 3. It was only in the case of the height when you were not increasing. And in the interview, if you actually went by height, that would actually make more sense. Otherwise, the interviewer might get into, okay, why maintaining the size? How are you actually maintaining the tree small. And then it'll be all kind of weird analysis. I'll give you the link later, you guys can go. But that is what VT was also saying initially, because in the literature you get all by size. I think Corman also it goes by size. Okay, now one more thing is there's something called path comparison. This is what Deven suggested previously. So before I go in, yeah. Someone said something? Anything? So Shiji, are you clear till here? I know you dropped out.
Yeah, in between I lost, but I'll listen to the recording.
Yes. Okay. So is everyone else other clear till here till now? I'll give you the problems. Maybe I'll. The problems. I'll give you a very simple problem. You guys can use this to look at the code and just see how it's being implemented. This thing, each question, same thing will be used. Like def find. The function find and function connected. Connect always for. I think. Yeah, it will be always used. Okay. Now I'll go with path comparison. So basically, Deven's idea was. Let's say this is your tree. Okay. And let's say you had one more tree, 7 and 8, and let's say 9. Right? Now his idea was to keep, now since we're trying to keep the tree small, right? Initially what we were doing is we are pointing 1 to here, right? So 1, 2, 3, this will become 7, this will be 8, this will be 9. Right? Now let's say we here call connect 2 and 9. Right? And this is what we got. And 1 is pointing to itself. Is that clear, guys? Is this clear, Deven?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, what we talked to before.
Yes, right, exactly. So now I think what you said was instead of pointing 7 to 8, like all we are doing is we are pointing 7 to 1, right? To keep the height of the tree small. So I think you also said why not point 8 to 1, 9 to 1? And in that way we'll have 1, 2 and 3, we'll have 7, we'll have 8, 1 as 9. This is what you said, right? That is another way to keep the height of the tree small. This is what you suggested, right?
Yeah. So
is this point clear to everyone? Like what Deven suggested? And this is nothing but path compression. And by doing this, find root, this will eventually go to O of 1. So now your is connected or connect will eventually go to O of 1, like constant time. Yes, no. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So basically the only change that will come here. So basically just see here. When you're okay, now when you actually connected 2 and 9, right? When you actually did connect 2 and 9, what did you do? From when you went to 2, you tried to find the root of 2. You went till up, you went till 1. Similarly for 9, you went till 1. Right? Clear? So what Deven's idea, what path compression says is while you're actually navigating up, why not while navigating up, why don't we just change the pointers of the tree and make it like this? Like this. The height would be small. So basically the only change will come here in def find.
But then aren't we increasing the complexity of connect? That will be now order of n.
Sorry, say again.
So aren't we increasing the complexity of connection now? Like because we are updating each parent pointer of 7, 8, 9.
Okay. So now so basically when you called let's say you call connect 2 and 9. Okay, first time.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's say this is what you got. Okay. You went from 9, you went till 7, you got and then you got 2 from 2, you went to 1, you got the roots, you connected each other. Okay. Now let's say you're different.
Okay.
Now let's say you're different. Now let's say your next query is connect 3 and let's say connect 10. Or let's say not 10, but let's say connect 8. What will you do here? You'll again go from 3, you'll go to 2, you'll go to 1. From 8, you'll again go back to 7, then 7 to 1. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically you'll go from 8 to 7, you'll go from 7 to 1, and here you'll go to 2 and you'll go to 1. See here, in the when you did connect 2 of 9, you already went to 7, right? 9 to 8, 8 to 7.
Yeah. So while going up, we keep updating now.
Yes, and in the next one, you also now you're doing the same thing. Again, from 8, you're going to 7, you're going to 1. So basically here, the same thing is being called again and again, like going back to the root, going back to the root, going back to the root. So the idea is, why should we go to the root again and again? So if you're trying to keep the tree small, why not while going up, we change the pointer of 9 instead of to 7.
Yeah.
Since you're calling it again and again, why not just change it to 7? Right?
Yeah.
Or
1.
Yeah, either 1 or 7. Basically we are just changing. It's either. You can change it to 1 or you can change it to 7. So basically you're trying to, when you're going up, you're changing the pointer of that root directly to the root.
Yeah.
Right? So basically what usually is done is, this is implemented in find. When you're doing find of root of I, when you're calling it again and again, that is where you actually change the pointer. Not it is connected or somewhere else. Basically, this is where you'll do basically path compression, right? So basically, what you'll get here is, so basically we are doing find of root here, right? So basically, let's say while I is not equal to parent of I. Okay, does anyone want to try this, Deven?
I'll let somebody else try it.
Okay, so let's say this is I'll just do it. Parent of I, just note this. This will make sense.
Is equal to I.
So this return. What do I return? Let's say I return parent of I, and this is I equal to while parent of I is not equal to I change the parent. Okay, see here. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? 1 is pointing to itself. 4 points to 3. 3 points to 2. 2 points to 1. Fine. Now this is 4. This is 3. This is 2. This is 1. This is 1. Fine. You guys seeing this?
Yeah.
Okay. Now when I'm at 4. When I'm at 4. So basically I'm trying to change the parent of 4 now. Right? So parent of I equal to, now I'm trying to find, now I'm calling it recursively. I'm calling the find of parent of I, which is 3. Fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Now when I'm at, now in the recursive call, I go to 3. Right? So now parent of 3, now I'm going to change parent of 3. Now to change the parent of 3, I again do another recursive call, which is find parent of 2. Right? Now when I'm doing this, I again call recursive, I go to 1. Right? Now parent of I is exactly same. I return parent of I return 1. Now I set 2 to 1. Right?
Yeah.
Now for 3 I return 1. For 4 I return 1, and I set it.
Yeah.
Is that clear? Or instead of doing this, you can do one more. There's a different way. So basically, when you did def find, basically I gave you guys the difficult one. So let's say while I is not equal to parent of I, first you find out the parent. I equal to parent of I. Right? So now you know the parent of I. Right? Now let's say you start from 4, you go back to 1, you found out the parent. Now again go back down. Now you again, while going up, you change the parent back to 1. So that is simpler way. So let's say you again start the same thing. While I is not equal to parent of I, you change the parent of I to what you found before. Let's say you got the root, you change it to root, and then you keep going up. Is that understood? So
Yeah.
my code is not clear. The main thing is explaining the concept.
Sure.
You guys understand? Everyone? Arya, Shiji, Vijay, VT, did this make sense to you guys as well?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Right. And so I think it was Arya who I was speaking to, right? Or Namita.
Namita, yeah.
Okay. So path compression, right? So basically, okay. Now initially, when you call find I for anyone, you still have to go till the root, right? So this will be still O of n, or let's say it's O of log n or whatever. Okay. But first time it will always be O of n or the height of the tree, but eventually it will go to O of 1. Like everyone will be pointed to its root now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so this depends upon, so if there are lots of queries and you're updating the root of everyone, eventually finding out is connected, or eventually find right will be O of 1 only. Like it will directly jump to it. Mostly it will be connected to its parent. So by path compression, you'll get this down to amortized constant. Eventually. This is amortized O of 1, or I think this is, I think maximum this will take 5 steps. I remember seeing this 5 steps, and the number of nodes is like 1 billion or something. I mean, for practical cases. I mean, if it's like a lot, like 2 to the power billion or something, I don't know, then obviously it'll never go back to 5 steps. But for practical cases, let's assume the number of people who are there on Facebook. In that case, if you use path compression, this will get down to just 5 steps. Like the tree maximum size of the tree would be 5. So that is what path compression is actually getting you. That's it. So I think you guys understood what this is. Like I think 7:30 the session starts, right? Harsh's session.
Yeah.
Okay. So David, was this clear? Did I take union find before earlier with you? No, right? I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so I did, because this was first time for you.
No.
Yeah. So this is all union find is. It has only these 3 concepts. One is path compression, one is maintained by height, maintained by size. And I'll give you the Coursera link also. It has the same explanation as what I did. And most of the questions that you get on DFS, you can do using union find as well. But I do most of these problems like, so basically when I want to find out the size of a component, instead of using DFS, I just use this, because using DFS is actually more trickier to me, because I'll have to pass in the number, pass in the size of the set and everything. That is tricky. But here size is very simple, right? And by using path compression, I'm getting somewhere O of 1, like very fast, right? So when I'm doing size of a component, I always use union find. And for is connected also, let's say I'm on HackerRank, let's say you got an online assessment. If you do is connected and if you did DFS, it will blow up. Like I have tried, like Amazon has given this question many times. If I tried DFS, it will always blow up, and unless you use some special like other data structures, but this will always blow up. I mean, and plus coding DFS is like always, I hate DFS. But union find is so simple. You just remember def find, and I mean the function find, and the function is connected. That's all, you're done. Quickly you'll be able to return the answer. This question will be like done in 10 minutes. So that's all. That's all I have to say for union find. So code it multiple times, and when you look, so I'll give you, so basically just go to LeetCode. You'll just do if you have just search by the tag union find, either solve that or I'll send you 5 questions, all medium or easy, then you guys will be able to do this. Fine?
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. And yeah, and sorry if I was not able to go through this properly, because we started with the aim of solving a question, but Sue already solved it using a different, like DFS and sets in O of n. So then there was no point in going into union find then. So this was all unstructured. So I hope you guys still understood this. So
no, this was very useful, Ankur. Thank you so much.
Where is my participant? Okay, here. So I'll stop the screening and I'll record this also, and I'll put it on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.